Tom, Christianity began as a resurrection movement. Everywhere you look, in their theology, in their ethics, in their beliefs, their hopes, you find resurrection. But resurrection would mean different things to different people. If Paul walked into a synagogue, say in Athens, and he talked about resurrection there, that would mean one thing. If he went up the road to the Areopagus and said resurrection, that would mean something else. What did Jews and Greeks hear when he said resurrection?
Yeah. As far as the Jewish people were concerned, they didn't all believe in resurrection, but quite a lot of them in the first century did. And those who did saw resurrection as something that God would do for all God's people at the last day. It was going to be a last-minute, large-scale event in which all the righteous dead would be raised to new life to share in the glory of God's new world, God's kingdom. So when Paul said that one person had been raised in the middle of history, that was totally different. Then if he goes up the road and starts talking to Greeks who know a bit of their own philosophy, then resurrection is an extraordinary thing, because as far as they're concerned, the body, for many of them anyway, philosophically speaking, the body is a tomb in which the soul has been imprisoned, and they want the soul to be released from the tomb of the body, not the body to be released from another sort of tomb. And so for many of them, they didn't want to have a body back. They wanted the pure soul. Now, that's an oversimplification, of course, but it tells you something very profound, that for Greeks, the idea that a body would be raised from the dead, a human being who had died and was on the way to being decomposed, would come back to life again. This just wasn't part of the game plan at all. So we have two very different strands in the culture with all sorts of varieties. But in the middle of it, we have Paul saying, no, this thing God has done for Jesus, and as a result of which everything is now different.
That's amazing. So resurrection, whether for Jews or for Greeks, would be somewhere between strange and scandalous.
Well, yes, absolutely. And Paul says that it is scandalous to Jews and just foolishness to the Greeks. And then he says, but when we preach this message, it carries a power. Even those who weren't expecting anything like this find that the news that somebody has been raised from the dead does things to them. It changes them, changes communities.